What truly lies beneath the endless storms of Jupiter? For centuries, the gas giant has loomed as both protector and threat, a silent guardian that swallows comets and asteroids before they can reach Earth, yet a monster so vast it could hold more than 1,000 Earths within its volume. Its face is a mask of storms, bands of color stretched like scars across its turbulent skin. The Great Red Spot, older than any empire humanity has ever built, spins with a fury that could consume our entire world. And yet, beneath those clouds, there is silence. A silence that has hidden one of the greatest mysteries in the solar system. Scientists long wondered whether Jupiter was hollow at its heart, or whether a dense, rocky giant lurked beneath its oceans of hydrogen and helium. Every telescope strained to glimpse past the clouds, but none could pierce the veil. Then came Juno, a solitary traveler, hurled across the void on an 8-year odyssey, its orbit designed like a key to unlock the secrets of the Titan. With each close pass, Juno's instruments tunneled deeper into Jupiter's shroud, measuring its gravity, mapping its magnetic field, sensing the unseen. Slowly, the silence began to speak, and what it revealed was stranger than anyone had imagined. The giant is not what we thought. Its heart is neither solid nor simple, but a chaotic blend, part dissolved, part broken, part scattered. A revelation that rewrites the story of how planets are born. For the first time, we have seen Jupiter's core, and what we found changes everything. The story of Jupiter's heart begins not with spacecraft or satellites, but with a single man and a crude telescope. In 1610, Galileo Galilei raised a narrow tube of glass and metal toward the night sky and forever changed the way humanity saw the heavens. Through that trembling lens, he found 4 tiny lights dancing around Jupiter, moons orbiting a planet, proof that Earth was not the center of all things. The giant itself appeared as nothing more than a disk, smeared with subtle bands, but it was enough to ignite a pursuit that would span centuries. Astronomers wondered what kind of world Jupiter was. Was it a solid sphere hidden behind veils of cloud? Or something stranger, a colossal orb of vapor and storm? Ground-based telescopes, from Newton's polished mirrors to the mighty observatories of the 19th century, revealed more detail. The colored belts, the ovals, the restless Great Red Spot, but never what lay beneath. Jupiter was both tantalizingly close and forever distant, a riddle wrapped in haze. The mystery deepened when the age of space exploration dawned. In the 1970s, Pioneer 10 and 11 became the first messengers to fly past the giant. They recorded a magnetic field so vast it dwarfed the sun itself at times, and radiation belts that glowed with deadly intensity. Soon after, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 swept by, their cameras sending back portraits of Jupiter in stunning color. The storms were revealed in swirling detail, clouds stacked in layers, lightning storms flashing in the dark. But again, the core remained invisible. The machines could not look deeper than the storms. For decades, the expectation among scientists was that Jupiter, like Saturn, must possess a dense, solid heart. After all, a planet of such scale required a seed, some rocky or icy nucleus that drew gas from the solar nebula during the earliest days of creation. Without that nucleus, Jupiter should never have formed at all. In that assumption, the invisible core held the key not only to Jupiter's story, but to the origins of the solar system itself. If we could understand what lay within, we might glimpse the same process that birthed the Earth, Mars, and all the worlds beyond. Yet as technology advanced, the certainty of a solid heart began to waver. Models of gas giant formation grew more complex. Data from gravitational studies suggested that Jupiter might not conform to the neat image of a planet with a hard center and clear layers. Instead, it might be blurred, melted, or broken. The idea of a diluted core began to emerge. A structure not compact and strong, but scattered, as if something had torn it apart in the chaos of early time. Why does the question of Jupiter's core matter? because within that heart lies a record older than any rock on Earth. Our own planet has shifted, melted, and erased its earliest story. But Jupiter, vast and cold in its outer orbit, may still preserve traces of the first moments of the solar system. Its core is a time capsule, a frozen whisper of the primordial cloud from which the sun and its planets were born. Einstein's theory of general relativity showed that gravity shapes not only the path of planets, but the very fabric of space and time. To understand how matter gathers, compresses, and ignites is to understand the architecture of the universe itself. In the turbulent cloud that once swirled around the young sun, gravity gathered dust and gas, crushing it into worlds. Jupiter grew into the monarch of that system, but how it grew remains a mystery hidden in its depths. Stephen Hawking once reflected that by understanding the first moments of cosmic formation, we might know the mind of God. In planetary science, the core of Jupiter is a fragment of that quest. To know its secrets is to trace back not only the birth of one planet, but the birth of the system that made Earth habitable. If Jupiter grew through gentle accretion, its story is one of patience and balance. If its core was shattered, diluted, or invaded by a colossal impact, then its story is one of violence, echoing the chaos that sculpted every world. Every generation of astronomers looked up at the giant and asked the same question: what lies within? They knew that the answer would not only redefine the giant itself, but would also illuminate our own fragile existence. Beneath those storms might lie the key to why we are here, why Earth has oceans and life, and why the solar system took the shape it did. For centuries, Jupiter guarded that answer, wrapped in clouds thousands of kilometers thick, storms swirling endlessly like curtains around a hidden stage. Pioneer and Voyager showed us the stage lights, but the play remained unseen. The pursuit demanded patience. It would take decades more before humankind would build a craft capable of not just passing by the giant, but orbiting it. A craft that could endure the crushing gravity and the storms long enough to hear the whispers of the core. The pursuit of Jupiter's heart is not just a tale of telescopes and machines. It is a reflection of humanity itself. To look into the unseen is an act of defiance against ignorance. To seek the invisible core is to ask where we came from and whether the forces that shaped us are still at work in distant worlds. Every orbit of a spacecraft, every equation on a blackboard is a fragment of that longing. The silent giant waited. The storms raged on. And for centuries, the invisible core remained hidden until the day we finally pierced the veil. Long before it reached the giant, Juno was only an idea. A dream scribbled in notebooks and drawn across chalkboards by scientists who had stared at Jupiter for decades, longing to know what hid behind its storms. They imagined a spacecraft not built to merely glance as it passed, but to orbit, to linger, to listen. It would not carry the heavy armor of nuclear power, like the deep space voyagers before it. Instead, it would carry wings of light, great solar panels stretching out like a fragile bird gliding into the darkness. The idea was audacious. Jupiter lies nearly 500 million miles from the sun. At that distance, sunlight is dim, barely a fraction of what reaches Earth. No spacecraft had ever dared to rely on solar power so far from home. Yet Juno was designed to thrive where others had only flown by. Its panels, spanning 20 meters tip to tip, would drink the pale light and keep the traveler alive in the shadow of the giant. The mission was conceived not as spectacle, but as inquiry. To measure gravity, to map magnetism, to listen with microwaves to the faint whispers from deep within Jupiter's atmosphere, to search for the hidden shape of its core, invisible to all telescopes. It would be a craft built not to see in the human sense, but to sense with mathematics, with subtle motions and invisible waves. The engineering was formidable. Jupiter's radiation belts blaze with particles trapped by its vast magnetic field, a storm of invisible fire that could strip circuits and erase memory. The spacecraft would need shielding thicker than any that had gone before, a vault of titanium encasing its delicate heart. Engineers crafted this vault-like armor, surrounding the instruments with a protective shell to withstand the fury of Jupiter's invisible storms. On a summer morning in August 2011, Juno left Earth atop an Atlas V rocket, a slender tower of fire lifting it from Cape Canaveral into the blue. Humanity had sent emissaries to Jupiter before, but never one designed to stay. Juno's journey was not direct. It looped around the inner solar system, stealing momentum from Earth itself in a carefully orchestrated flyby. Like a slingshot, Earth's gravity hurled the spacecraft outward with new speed, propelling it toward the distant giant. For 5 years, it sailed in silence. Across the Gulf, its wings caught pale sunlight, its systems humming in the void. Inside, a delicate balance of power, thermal control, and navigation kept it alive. The spacecraft did not rush. It drifted along the slow, relentless curve of its orbit, guided only by the mathematics of celestial mechanics, carrying with it the hopes of all who had built it. Then came July 2016. Jupiter loomed ahead, filling the spacecraft's sky. The planet's gravity stretched invisible hands outward, pulling at Juno, eager to claim it. To survive, the traveler had to slow itself. For 35 minutes, Juno fired its main engine, pushing back against the pull, bleeding speed in a final act of precision. With each passing second, it was drawn deeper into the embrace of the giant. When the engine fell silent, Juno was no longer a wanderer. It was captured, locked forever in the orbit of Jupiter, the first solar-powered machine to circle the gas giant. For engineers watching from Earth, the moment was electric. A signal, faint and delayed, crossed nearly 1 billion kilometers to say that Juno had survived. The giant had accepted its fragile companion. Juno's orbit was no ordinary circle. It was designed as an elongated path, sweeping close above Jupiter's poles, then flinging far into space before falling back again. This trajectory allowed the spacecraft to avoid the worst of the radiation belts, slipping between their invisible arcs like a dancer moving between flames. With each close pass, called a perihove, Juno dove to within a few thousand kilometers of the cloud tops, racing across the poles at speeds of over 200,000 kilometers per hour. Each dive was a brush with danger. Each dive was a chance to listen. Juno's instruments were not cameras in the ordinary sense, though it carried one to show us the beauty of the storms. Its true vision lay in its sensors. Gravity measurements detected minute wobbles in the spacecraft's path, revealing how mass was distributed beneath the clouds. Magnetometers mapped Jupiter's vast magnetic field, showing strange asymmetries no one had predicted. Microwave radiometers pierced hundreds of kilometers into the atmosphere, sensing temperatures, water content, and ammonia, layers invisible to the human eye. Together, these instruments began to draw a portrait of Jupiter that no telescope could ever capture. The giant was not a simple onion of layers. It was a storm of complexities, a world of chaotic depths. Each orbit deepened the mystery. Gravity readings suggested that the core was not compact and solid, as once imagined, but diffuse, spread out like spilled ink within the planet. The boundary between core and atmosphere was blurred, as if the heart itself had dissolved. Magnetic data revealed that the field was not neat and centered, but lopsided, twisted, with patches of intense strength near the surface. Microwaves showed that ammonia streams plunged deep below the visible clouds, carrying heat and chemicals in vast hidden circulations. Juno had begun to peel back the veil, revealing a world stranger than anyone had expected. And yet, for all its sophistication, Juno was fragile. A traveler no larger than a basketball court, built by human hands on a single world, sent to orbit a planet 11 times the diameter of Earth. Its panels were thin, its circuits vulnerable, its fuel finite. Against Jupiter's titanic storms, it was a speck of metal and glass, carried along by the giant's gravity like a leaf in the wind. This fragility was its meaning. Juno was proof that humanity could reach beyond its scale, that even the smallest of machines armed with nothing more than solar light and human ingenuity could slip into the orbit of a giant and hear what no ear could hear. In the stillness of space, the spacecraft became an extension of human curiosity. Every pulse of data that returned to Earth was more than numbers. It was a translation of the unseeable, a bridge between the storms of Jupiter and the minds that wondered about them. Each signal was a heartbeat of exploration, a whisper from a machine that had fallen into the embrace of a titan. Juno's journey is not only about Jupiter. It is about the human story, fragile beings on a small world, daring to build a traveler to touch the unreachable. Where telescopes failed, Juno listened. Where human eyes were blind, Juno sensed. And in that act of reaching outward, it brought us closer to understanding the first moments of our solar system, and perhaps the forces that shaped us all. The giant no longer stood entirely silent. Through the fragile ears of Juno, humanity had finally begun to hear its voice. Jupiter is a planet wrapped in storms. Its surface, if such a word can even be used, is nothing more than a restless ocean of gas. Hydrogen and helium, the lightest elements in the universe, swirl together in endless bands, sculpted by jet streams moving faster than any hurricane on Earth. These bands stretch across the entire planet, alternating belts of rising and sinking air, painted in tones of cream, orange, and brown. Between them, cyclones spin like great wheels, some as small as continents, others vast enough to swallow Earth whole. And then there is the great red spot, a storm that has raged for centuries, larger than the diameter of our world, yet confined by the invisible flows of the planet's atmosphere. It is both ancient and fragile, shrinking slowly with time but still spinning with energies beyond comprehension. To stand within it would be to see walls of cloud rising kilometers high, wind screaming at hundreds of kilometers per hour, lightning illuminating the depths. It is the face Jupiter shows us most clearly, a mask of fury that hides what lies beneath. But beneath the colors and the storms lies a deeper mystery. Jupiter is not only an atmosphere, its true nature is hidden under layers thousands of kilometers thick, where pressure rises to millions of times what humans endure on Earth, and hydrogen itself is crushed into a strange metallic form, conducting electricity and powering the planet's immense magnetic field. No probe, no telescope, no human eye can survive those depths. For centuries, the heart of Jupiter remained unknowable, a secret locked behind storms. Juno changed that. Unlike its predecessors, Juno was not built to look at the surface alone. Its most powerful instrument was invisible, a radio connection, precise beyond measure, that tied the spacecraft to Earth. By tracking Juno's position with extraordinary accuracy, scientists could detect the faintest tug of Jupiter's gravity. Every tiny wobble in Juno's orbit was a clue, each deviation a whisper from the unseen mass below. Gravity became the language through which Jupiter revealed itself. The science was painstaking. As Juno swept past the poles in its elongated orbit, its radio signals shifted. The planet pulled harder here, softer there, revealing irregularities in its gravitational field. At first they were subtle, so slight that they could have been dismissed as noise. But orbit after orbit, the pattern grew undeniable. Jupiter's gravity was not smooth. It was warped, twisted, shaped by something massive and strange beneath the storms. The data was transformed into maps. These maps did not show colors or storms. They showed the invisible fingerprints of gravity itself, etched into the fabric of space around the planet. Scientists realized that these fingerprints pointed to something unexpected. Jupiter's mass was not evenly distributed. It bulged in strange ways. The giant was hiding a core that defied all expectations. For decades, textbooks had pictured Jupiter as an onion of clear layers. A compact, rocky, or icy core surrounded by metallic hydrogen, which in turn was wrapped in molecular hydrogen and clouds. Simple. Ordered. But Juno's gravity maps told a different story. The core was not compact at all. It was fuzzy, diffuse, spread outward through a vast region of the planet's interior. It was as if the heart of Jupiter had been shattered. Instead of a sharp boundary, scientists found a blurred transition where heavy elements mixed with lighter gases. A diluted core, perhaps the relic of a violent impact in the planet's youth. When a protoplanet 10 times the mass of Earth may have collided with Jupiter and left behind a fractured interior. This realization was seismic. The invisible hand of gravity had revealed that Jupiter was not the simple gas giant imagined in old theories, but a world shaped by chaos and collision. The storms we see on the surface are only the surface expression of a deeper, more violent history. The fingerprints of gravity etched this story like lines in a palm. Every wobble in Juno's path spoke of a hidden architecture, a memory preserved not in rock or ice, but in the way mass flows within a giant of gas. Gravity became both messenger and sculptor, a force without face yet capable of drawing a portrait more detailed than any camera. The method was both elegant and humbling. From nearly 1 billion kilometers away, humans on Earth could measure the subtle change in the timing of a radio signal to within a fraction of a second. That change was enough to detect variations in Jupiter's pull, which in turn revealed the unseen structure of a world too vast to visit and too hostile to touch. Through gravity, Jupiter's interior began to emerge as a living riddle. Perhaps its core began solid, as theories once insisted, but was stirred and spread by titanic events. Or perhaps from the beginning it never formed a clear heart, but remained diffuse, a storm even at its deepest level. Either way, the neat picture of a well-defined, rocky center had dissolved. The implications extended far beyond Jupiter. If gas giants could possess diluted cores, then planetary formation itself was more complex than imagined. It suggested that the early solar system was a place of impacts and instability, where even a titan like Jupiter was not immune to disruption. It hinted that the processes shaping planets in distant star systems might be far more diverse than Earthbound theory once dared to predict. The storms above continued to rage, masking this hidden truth. To the eye, Jupiter remained a planet of bands and spots, a spectacle of color. But beneath, gravity had whispered a different tale. A tale of dissolution, of blurred boundaries, of a heart unlike anything humans had imagined. To peer through the clouds was not to see with light. It was to see with mathematics, with the patient accumulation of signals across time and space. Juno had become a stethoscope pressed against the chest of a giant, listening to the beat of its hidden heart. And as the data poured in, scientists realized that Jupiter was teaching them not only about itself, but about the universe. For gravity is universal. It shapes stars, galaxies, and black holes. It bends light and warps time, and here in the depths of Jupiter, it revealed that even the mightiest planets are not orderly, but chaotic. Not simple, but strange. The clouds above will always swirl. The great red spot may live for centuries more, or it may fade into history, but the gravity beneath tells a deeper story. A story of a giant with a broken heart. A planet whose core is not a stone, but a storm. The fingerprints of gravity remain, etched into the giant forever, invisible yet undeniable. Proof that even in the places where eyes cannot see, the universe always leaves a trace. For centuries, Jupiter was imagined as a world of layers, a solid, compact heart buried beneath oceans of metallic hydrogen, wrapped again in molecular hydrogen, and finally crowned with clouds and storms. It was a simple model, neat and ordered, a giant onion of gas and stone. But when Juno listened with gravity, when the spacecraft traced the invisible fingerprints etched into space itself, that old vision fell apart. The truth was stranger. Jupiter does not have a neat, compact core. Its heart is not a solid stone buried at the center. Instead, the core appears to be diffuse, spread outward through a vast region of the planet's interior. Scientists call it a diluted or fuzzy core, a place where heavy elements are not locked into a single sphere but scattered, mixed with hydrogen and helium across tens of thousands of kilometers. It is as though the giant's heart was shattered. The discovery came not with a single image, but with mathematics. Juno's gravity readings showed that mass was distributed unevenly, spread more widely than any solid nucleus could explain. The core was not a sharp boundary, but a blur, a storm of elements within the storm. Rock and ice dissolved into metallic hydrogen, neither fully one nor the other, a liminal state between order and chaos. This raised a haunting question. How could such a thing exist? One theory points to catastrophe. In the early solar system, the cradle of planets was violent. Embryos of worlds collided, merged, or were cast away into darkness. Jupiter itself, growing in that chaos, may have suffered a collision with a planetary embryo 10 times the mass of Earth. The impact would have torn through the infant giant, mixing its heavy heart with lighter gases. Over billions of years, the traces of that wound never healed. Instead, the core remained broken, blurred into the surrounding envelope, like ink spilled into water. It is a vision of planetary birth not as harmony, but as violence. Worlds are not sculpted gently, but hammered into being by collision. Earth itself bears scars of that violence. The moon was likely born when a Mars-sized body struck our young planet, ejecting molten rock that later coalesced into our companion. If Earth's core is a wound sealed tight, Jupiter's may be a wound left open, still echoing the chaos of creation. The difference is profound. Earth's core is compact and dense. Iron and nickel crushed together at immense pressure, layered neatly beneath a mantle of rock and a crust of fragile continents. That solid heart powers our magnetic field, protects our atmosphere, and sustains the conditions that allow life to exist. Without a well-defined core, Earth would not be Earth. Jupiter's story is different. Its diluted core does not generate order, but complexity. The blurred boundary between heavy elements and metallic hydrogen feeds turbulence, drives unexpected flows, and warps the planet's magnetic field into strange, asymmetric shapes. Its heart is not a single beating stone. It is a storm within a storm. The emotional weight of this discovery is undeniable. To peer into the largest planet in the solar system and find not strength but fragility. Not a pillar of stone but a wound left by violence. The heart of Jupiter is not what one imagines in myths or in physics textbooks. It is not the throne of a king. It is the scar of a child born in chaos. Scientists now debate what this means. Is Jupiter's diluted core permanent, a frozen relic of a single catastrophic moment? Or is it a transient state, a stage in planetary evolution that may eventually settle into something more defined? Some models suggest that over billions of years, heavy elements could sink again, reconcentrating into a compact center. Others propose that turbulence within Jupiter's depths prevents such settling, keeping its heart forever blurred. There are echoes of philosophy in this debate. Is Jupiter's broken heart a scar that time cannot heal, or is it still evolving, reshaping itself even now? If the latter, then the giant is not a finished world, but a living process, still sculpting its own identity across cosmic time. The implications stretch far beyond Jupiter. Astronomers have discovered thousands of exoplanets, many of them gas giants orbiting distant stars. If Jupiter's core can be shattered and diluted, perhaps such collisions are common, shaping giants throughout the galaxy. The architecture of planetary systems may be written not in neat accretion, but in violence. The very act of creation may be indistinguishable from destruction, and yet within that chaos there is order of another kind. Jupiter's diluted core tells us that worlds are not simple. They carry histories written deep inside, invisible to the eye but etched in gravity. To understand them is to read those hidden scars. Just as geologists read the fault lines of Earth to understand its past, planetary scientists now read the blurred interior of Jupiter as a record of the solar system's most violent age. In myth, Jupiter was king of the gods, master of thunder and storm. In science, the giant is something humbler, but no less profound. It is a world with a heart not of stone, but of shattered fragments, a wounded core that still beats with gravity and light. The revelation is not weakness, but truth. Jupiter is not perfect, not immutable. It is the survivor of violence, carrying within it the memory of cosmic birth. And perhaps in that revelation there is reflection for us all. Humanity, too, was born of violence. Stars die to create the elements of life. Planets collide to form stable worlds. Even life itself evolves through struggle and change. To find a broken heart at the center of the largest planet is to be reminded that beauty can be born from chaos, and that scars can carry meaning as deep as any stone. Through Juno, humanity has seen that Jupiter is not the fortress of certainty it once seemed. Its storms are masks, its heart a wound, and yet, in that brokenness lies the story of how worlds are made, and how the universe creates not through order alone, but through upheaval. The shattered core of Jupiter is not an end. It is an invitation to rethink the story of planetary birth, an invitation to look at the gas giants scattered across the stars and wonder what wounds they carry, an invitation to see the universe not as perfect geometry, but as a place where even titans bear scars. The discovery does not diminish Jupiter's majesty. It deepens it. For within the heart of the largest planet in our solar system lies a lesson both scientific and philosophical. Creation is not a gentle act. It is violent, chaotic, and uncertain. And yet from that chaos, order emerges. From that wound, gravity still binds. From that shattered heart, a planet still reigns. Long before Earth had oceans, long before Mars wore valleys and canyons, before Venus smothered itself in fire, there was Jupiter. It was the firstborn of the solar system, a child of the sun's swirling disk of gas and dust. 4.5 billion years ago, the young sun blazed within a cradle of creation. Around it, the protoplanetary disk turned in silence, a haze of hydrogen, helium, and heavier fragments of stone and ice. Within this cloud, matter collided and clumped. Pebbles became boulders. Boulders became planetary seeds, and out of those seeds rose worlds. Jupiter's seed was unlike the others. While Earth and Mars grew slowly, gathering stone upon stone, Jupiter's core reached a critical mass, perhaps 10 times that of Earth, fast enough to seize the gases drifting all around it. Gravity became its weapon. Hydrogen and helium, the lightest and most abundant elements in the cosmos, were drawn inward. In the span of a few million years, Jupiter grew from a rocky embryo into a giant, swelling to dominate the infant solar system. This was not just the birth of a planet. It was the shaping of an entire system. For in becoming a giant, Jupiter became both protector and destroyer. Its mass scattered countless smaller bodies, hurling some into the sun, flinging others outward into the frozen dark, and drawing many into orbits that remain today as comets and asteroids. Without Jupiter, Earth's story might have ended in fire. Without Jupiter, the conditions for life may never have come to be. But Juno's revelations remind us that this birth was not simple. Jupiter's fuzzy core suggests that its story is not only one of growth, but of violence. Perhaps in those early days, when Jupiter was still gathering mass, it collided with another planetary seed. A world perhaps as large as 10 Earths may have slammed into the growing giant, shattering its heart and scattering heavy elements into its hydrogen mantle. If this is true, Jupiter's very center is not the quiet remnant of accretion, but a scar from impact. This possibility reshapes the way scientists think about planetary formation. No longer is the birth of a gas giant a smooth curve of growth. It may be a jagged process of collisions, dissolutions, and chaos. Just as Earth was struck and scarred, birthing the moon, Jupiter too may bear the memory of a cosmic wound. Its diluted core may be the fossil record of that violence, preserved not in rock but in gravity. And if Jupiter's heart is blurred by collision, then what of the countless gas giants orbiting distant stars? Exoplanet surveys reveal them in abundance, some larger than Jupiter, some closer to their suns than Mercury is to ours, hot Jupiters whipped by heat and tides. If Jupiter carries scars, perhaps these worlds do too. Across the galaxy, giant planets may hide fractured cores, each a record of chaos in their system's earliest moments. In this way, Jupiter is more than a planet. It is a mirror, reflecting truths that stretch across the cosmos. To understand its diluted heart is to understand not just our own solar system, but the violent births of worlds circling distant suns. Stephen Hawking once reflected that the universe does not emerge from calm, but from turbulence. Order is not given but carved out of chaos. In his writings, he described the beginnings of time as a quantum storm, a fluctuation that birthed everything. From that storm came stars, galaxies, and planets. In Jupiter's diluted core, scientists see an echo of that same principle. Chaos at the beginning, scars that endure, and worlds that carry within them the memory of violence. The birth of Jupiter is therefore not a story of perfection, but of imperfection. A giant that should have had a solid heart, but instead carries a blurred one. A king whose throne is fractured. And yet this very imperfection is what makes Jupiter precious. It is a record of processes no longer visible anywhere else. The Earth has remade itself through tectonics, weather, and time. But Jupiter's vastness preserves its wound. Its chaotic interior is a memory book of the solar system's first age. To imagine that time is to picture a sky without stability. The disk around the sun was a storm of matter. Planetary embryos raced and collided. Some were destroyed. Some were consumed. Some were exiled into the dark. Out of this chaos, the architecture of the solar system was carved. Jupiter grew largest, not because the universe desired order, but because its seed gained mass quickly enough to seize control. Gravity crowned it the first giant. Now, billions of years later, its presence still shapes the solar system. Asteroids cluster in its wake. Comets are bent by its pull. Even the tilt and stability of Earth owe their persistence to Jupiter's existence. And yet, beneath that cosmic authority, its heart remains diluted, as though reminding us that even titans are scarred by their birth. The lesson reaches outward, to the thousands of exoplanets discovered by telescopes like Kepler and TESS. When scientists model their interiors, they must now consider the possibility of diluted cores. When they trace their histories, they must imagine collisions as formative as creation itself. The story of gas giants is no longer simple. It is written in chaos. Hawking's reflections resonate here. The beginnings of all things are not smooth. They are wild, unstable, violent, and yet out of that violence comes structure. Out of chaos comes the possibility of life. In Jupiter's heart, we see this paradox made real, a core both broken and enduring, a wound from which stability itself emerged. The birth of Jupiter is, in truth, the story of us all. Without it, Earth would not have formed as it did. Without its gravitational presence, comets and asteroids may have struck endlessly, sterilizing the surface of our young world. Without its scarred heart, we might never have learned how planets are truly born. Juno has given us not only data, but perspective. To see Jupiter's fuzzy core is to glimpse the memory of the solar system's first moments. It is to look back across billions of years and see not just one world, but the pattern of all worlds. The giant's heart is both wound and witness. And so, when humanity looks at Jupiter now, it is not only looking at storms or at color, it is looking at the oldest story of all. The story of how giants are born, how scars endure, and how even in chaos the universe writes order. Jupiter, the firstborn, still carries its fractured heart. A reminder that creation is never clean. A reminder that even the mightiest giants are children of turbulence. A reminder that the universe itself was born in storm, and that from storm comes everything we know. Jupiter is not only a planet. It is a mirror held up to the cosmos itself. Within its storms and within its fractured heart lies a reflection of how worlds are born, how they survive, and how they carry scars from creation. Juno's revelations did not remain confined to our solar system. They echoed outward, touching the distant stars. For if Jupiter, the archetype of a gas giant, carries a broken heart, then perhaps giants elsewhere are wounded too. Across the galaxy, telescopes have uncovered thousands of exoplanets, and among them, gas giants appear again and again. Some drift far from their suns like frozen monarchs. Others burn close in orbits so tight that their years last only days. These hot Jupiters defy old expectations, orbiting so near their stars that their atmospheres boil and their clouds are torn away by radiation. To understand them, scientists now look to Jupiter as the key. If our own giant bears a fuzzy core, diluted by ancient violence, then the interiors of these distant worlds may also defy simplicity. Perhaps many exoplanets carry fractured hearts, broken by collisions with other planetary embryos. Perhaps the chaos that sculpted our solar system is not rare but universal. Juno's data, precise and local, becomes a lantern for the vast unknown, a way to imagine interiors that will never be seen directly. What Jupiter teaches is that creation is inseparable from destruction. A planet is not born perfect. It is carved, hammered, scattered into shape. Its scars endure, invisible to the eye but written in the pull of gravity. This lesson turns exoplanets from mysteries into echoes. Each new world discovered is not an alien story but a familiar one, a variation on the theme of chaos and survival. Philosophy and science meet here, as they so often do. Albert Einstein once wrote that the most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious. It is the source of all true art and science. Jupiter is that mystery, alive in the sky, both protector and enigma. Its storms are painted across the night for anyone to see, but its true story lies beneath, hidden in its wound. The mystery is not solved, but deepened. To glimpse a fuzzy core is not to end the question, but to expand it. If Jupiter is scarred, what of Saturn, Neptune, and the countless giants across the galaxy? If creation itself is violent, what does that say of the order we live within today? The mystery is not abstract. It may be bound to life itself. Consider the possibility that Jupiter's instability shaped the path of Earth's history. In the chaos of the young solar system, Jupiter's presence guided the dance of asteroids and comets. Its fractured interior may have altered its gravitational influence in subtle ways, bending the orbits of icy bodies that carried water to Earth. Without such deliveries, our oceans may never have formed. Without oceans, life could not have risen. A broken heart on a distant giant may have been the reason life exists on a small blue planet. This idea remains speculative, but it resonates with wonder. If true, then Jupiter's wound is not just a record of cosmic violence. It is a gift, a hidden hand that shaped the path of survival. Its diluted core may not only tell the story of how giants form, but also why fragile creatures on Earth are able to look up and wonder at all. Exoplanet science magnifies this reflection. With every new detection, astronomers confront diversity far beyond what was once imagined. Some giants are puffed up, larger than Jupiter but lighter, their atmospheres swollen. Others are denser, compressed into strange states by the gravity of their stars. If Jupiter's fractured heart reshaped planetary science, then these exoplanets expanded again. They show that there is no single model, no single story. Each world is its own scar, its own survival, and yet Jupiter remains the benchmark. Its mystery is the template by which others are judged. By studying the diluted core of our own giant, scientists find language to describe the unimaginable interiors of distant planets. The wound of Jupiter becomes a cosmic grammar, helping decode the structure of worlds light years away. Philosophically, it is humbling. Humanity once imagined itself at the center of everything. Then Galileo's telescope showed that Earth was just one planet among many. Now, Juno's radio signals remind us that even the largest of these planets is not absolute, not orderly, but scarred and imperfect. The cosmos is not a place of crystalline geometry. It is a place of chaos where even giants bleed, And yet there is beauty in that imperfection. For it is within chaos that the seeds of stability grow. From shattered beginnings came a solar system that sustains life. From a fuzzy core came a gravitational dance that shaped oceans, continents, and the fragile web of biology. The scars are not blemishes. They are the reason the story exists at all. Einstein's words linger again. The mysterious is the source of science. The wound at Jupiter's center is that mystery, enduring across billions of years, refusing to resolve into certainty. It draws humanity forward, compelling new missions, new telescopes, new questions. And with every answer, the mystery deepens, as if the cosmos itself resists being fully known. To call Jupiter a mirror for the cosmos is to recognize that it reflects more than planetary science. It reflects the nature of existence itself. Creation and destruction are not opposites. They are partners. Survival is not the absence of scars. It is the carrying of scars forward into meaning. Jupiter carries its broken heart. Earth carries the memory of collisions and extinctions. Humanity carries the fragility of life in a universe that was never built to protect it. And yet, here life is. Here wonder is. Here, questions are asked beneath the storms of a giant, and answers ripple outward to the stars. Jupiter's story is not finished. Juno continues to orbit, continues to listen, continues to whisper truths about what lies within. But even if one day the mission ends, the lesson will remain. The diluted core of Jupiter has already transformed science. It has already reshaped how we see exoplanets. It has already reminded us that beauty and survival emerge not in spite of chaos, but because of it. In the night sky, Jupiter shines as a lantern. To the eye, it is steady, constant. To the mind, it is mystery. And in that mystery lies the reflection of the cosmos itself, a place where every world is born from storm, where every core may be scarred, and where even the mightiest giants carry broken hearts. Far above the storms, a lone traveler drifts. Juno circles the giant in silence, its solar wings stretched wide, its fragile body carried by gravity's embrace. It listens in radio whispers, measures in subtle shifts, and translates what no human eye can see. Around and around it falls, each orbit a hymn to curiosity, each signal a fragment of truth. Against the endless weight of Jupiter, Juno is small, a machine of wires and glass. And yet it is also more. It is humanity's witness, hovering at the threshold of the unknown. From this vantage, Jupiter is not simply a planet. It is an ancient god, wrapped in storms that have raged for centuries. Its bands stretch across its face like scars, its great red spot a wound carved by time. And now we know, through Juno's patient listening, that its heart too is scarred. The giant is not perfect. Its core is diluted, fuzzy, fractured. What does it mean that even Jupiter, the largest planet in the solar system, a titan 11 times wider than Earth, carries within it a broken heart? For centuries, perfection was imagined in the heavens. The ancients believed the skies were the realm of flawless spheres, immutable and eternal. The planets were gods, moving in harmony, unchanging. But science has stripped away that illusion. Stars are born in violence, collapse under their own weight, and die in explosions that scatter their bones across the galaxy. Worlds collide, shatter, and reform. Even the gas giants, those colossal guardians of stability, bear scars from the chaos that birthed them. Perfection is not the rule of the cosmos. It is the illusion. Jupiter's fractured heart is a mirror of this truth. It tells us that creation is not clean but jagged. That beauty arises not from symmetry, but from survival. The diluted core is not weakness. It is memory. Memory of impacts, of turbulence, of the storm of beginnings. Jupiter did not emerge whole. It was forged in violence, and it endures in imperfection. And in this, humanity sees itself. For our own existence, fragile and improbable, is also the child of scars. Earth was struck by a giant impact, and from that wound, the moon was born. Life itself has endured extinctions and upheavals, reshaping across epochs. The human story is not one of untouched perfection, but of resilience. To see Jupiter's heart fractured is to recognize a cosmic kinship. Even the largest planet is flawed. Even the mightiest god is wounded. The parallel stretches wider. Stars themselves do not die in silence. They collapse, explode, scatter heavy elements into space: carbon, oxygen, iron. From those remnants, new stars are born, new planets coalesce, and eventually, life emerges. Every breath carries atoms from dead stars. Every cell is built from cosmic wreckage. Creation is not separate from destruction. It is born from it, so too with Jupiter. Its broken heart is not an anomaly. It is a symbol, a reminder that the universe itself is shaped not by order alone, but by chaos. The cracks are not errors in the pattern. They are the pattern. Juno drifts on, orbit after orbit, carrying this revelation. From Earth, the signals arrive as numbers, transformed into maps, models, and theories. But beneath the mathematics lies philosophy. If even Jupiter carries scars, what does that say about the cosmos itself? If the firstborn of the solar system is fractured, then perhaps nothing is whole. Perhaps wholeness is not the goal of creation. Perhaps survival is. For humanity, this is both humbling and profound. The myths of gods spoke of thunderbolts and perfection. The reality is deeper. The heart of a god is not unbroken. It is shattered, scattered, mixed with lightest hydrogen and darkest stone, and yet it holds together. For billions of years it has endured. It circles the sun, its storms unending, its pull shaping the orbits of worlds, its presence shielding Earth from cosmic bombardment. Jupiter is scarred, but it is also steadfast. Its endurance is the lesson. In that endurance, humanity finds reflection. For life on Earth, too, is fragile. It bends, breaks, suffers, yet it persists. It adapts, it continues. The universe does not promise perfection. It promises impermanence. And within impermanence lies wonder. The philosopher might say that Jupiter is a reminder of the human condition. The scientist might say that its diluted core reshapes planetary theory. Both are true. Science and philosophy meet in the same question. If even Jupiter carries scars from its birth, what does that mean for the universe itself? Perhaps it means that chaos is not the enemy of creation. Perhaps it is the engine. The galaxies form through collisions. The stars ignite from collapse. The planets are born from violence. And in the wake of all this turbulence, life emerges, fragile but persistent. The cosmos is not orderly by design. It is messy, scarred, and beautiful, and so Juno continues to orbit, a fragile traveler around a wounded god. Each pass tells us more. Each whisper of gravity, each map of magnetism, each signal across the void adds to the story. But the story will never be finished. Jupiter's mystery is too deep, its scars too vast. Perhaps that is the greatest gift of all. That even when data is gathered, questions remain. That even when the veil is lifted, mystery endures. Einstein's words echo across the centuries. Mystery is the source of science. Without it, there is no wonder, no exploration, no growth. Jupiter's broken heart is not an end, but a beginning. A reminder that the cosmos is not a solved equation, but a living question. Above the clouds, Juno drifts silently. Below, the storms rage on as they have for centuries. And within, the fractured core whispers of a violent birth. Humanity watches from afar, fragile beings on a small blue planet, daring to wonder, daring to listen. The lesson of Jupiter is simple, and yet infinite. Even the mightiest bear scars. Even the gods are wounded, and creation itself is born not from perfection but from chaos.